Let's be honest. If you're a business owner or a marketer, you've probably felt it lately. Maybe your website traffic is slowly dipping, or the leads just seem to be drying up. Something just feels off. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not just a feeling. AI has fundamentally broken the old marketing playbook. But here's the good news. AI also gives us all the tools we need to fix it. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we have to understand the massive shift that's happening. Then, I'll give you the core framework to completely rebuild your strategy. After that, we'll get into the new metrics you absolutely have to track, the systems to put it all into action, and even a concrete 90-day plan to get started. And we'll wrap up with the most important part, how to become the answer in this new age of AI. All right, let's dive right in with the big shift. We are literally watching the end of search as we've known it for the past 20 years. And what that means is that playbook you've been using, the one that probably built your business, yeah, that's officially obsolete. And it all starts with this question, a question that I know is keeping a lot of business owners up at night. Why are my customers disappearing? It feels like they're just vanishing from your website, from your analytics. And you know what? There's a very real reason for it. And that reason is called zero-click search. See, AI now sits right between you and your customer. When somebody asks a question, the AI just grabs it and gives them the answer right there. Get this. Today, only about 36% of Google searches actually lead to a click. That means almost 2/3 of the time the journey is over before it even begins. They never even make it to your website. This slide really says it all. We have to completely change how we think. The old way, the past, was all about SEO, search engine optimization. We chased keywords, we obsessed over rankings, all to drive website traffic. Well, the future is about AEO, answer engine optimization. The game is no longer about ranking number one. It's about being cited as the authority inside the AI's answer. And this right here is where so many businesses are getting it wrong. They're just doubling down on the old SEO tricks, basically fighting yesterday's war. They're still chasing keywords, they're still obsessed with website traffic, and they are completely ignoring that the whole game has changed. Honestly, it's just a huge waste of time and money. Okay, so that's the problem. It's a big one. So how do we actually fix it? Well, that brings us to section 2, the core framework. I want to introduce you to the AI Marketing Rebuild Toolkit. Think of it as a set of 10 strategic prompts or blueprints that are going to form the entire new foundation for your marketing. Now, I know this looks like a lot on the screen, but don't worry, don't get overwhelmed. These 10 prompts are your new toolkit, and they basically break down into 3 groups. First, you've got prompts to make your content unique and authoritative. Second, prompts to rebuild your channels, search, email, video. And third, prompts to overhaul your operations and how you measure things. It's a whole system, not just one little tactic. So what's the big idea behind this whole toolkit? It's a total philosophical shift. We've got to stop pumping out huge volumes of generic Me Too content. Instead, we have to focus on value-based content that positions you as the go-to authority. That means using your own unique data, your human insights. The stuff in AI can't just make up. Let's make this super real for a second. Imagine a local plumber. Instead of just trying to rank number 1 for the keyword emergency plumber, they use that AEO audit prompt. What happens? The AI gives them a specific 90-day action plan on how to get cited by AI as the best source for emergency plumbing in their town. It's a totally different goal, and it's so much more powerful. Okay, so now you've got the framework. But how do you know if any of this is actually working? You can't win a new game using the old scoreboard. And that brings us to section 3, which might be the most important part of all, the new metrics. This is your new compass in this AI world. The first huge metric you need to start tracking is called answer share of voice, or ASOV. This has nothing to do with how high you rank in a list of links. It's all about how often your business gets mentioned inside the AI's actual answer. We're measuring influence now, not just position. And don't worry, this isn't some crazy, complex formula. It's actually super simple. You just take the number of times your brand was mentioned, divide it by the total number of questions you ask the AI, and multiply by 100. It's a really straightforward way to see if you're visible where it actually matters now. Now, a mention is good, but a citation, that's the holy grail. The AI citation rate measures how often the AI doesn't just say your name, but it actually points to your website or your content as the source for its information. This is the ultimate proof that you're seen as the authority. So how do you actually track this stuff? You use what's called a prompt matrix. You have to forget about testing single keywords. A realtor, for instance, needs to test the real questions their customers are asking. Things like, what are the real estate trends? Or who's the most active broker? Even putting their brand head to head against a competitor. This is how you get a true picture of your real world visibility. Okay, so we've got the right framework, we know how to measure success, now it's time to actually execute. This next part is all about putting the theory into practice and activating this new strategy across your most important marketing channels, like email, video, and ads. This is all about upgrading your channels from generic to intelligent. For email, we stop the old batch and blast and move to AI-powered hyper-personalization that can boost performance by over 80%. For video, we build a clips factory to constantly feed the AI recommendation engines on places like YouTube and LinkedIn. And for our paid ads, we use AI to shrink creative testing from months down to just days. Here's another real-world example for you. An insurance agent hosts a 1-hour webinar. In the old days, that's one piece of content. Done. But by using the short-form video content factory prompt, they can instantly turn that one webinar into 20 different, short, engaging clips, all perfectly optimized for social media. I mean, that's the kind of leverage we're talking about with these systems. I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like a massive project, but the whole point of the toolkit is to make it manageable. And that's exactly why we have the 90-day roadmap, a clear step-by-step action plan to get this whole thing implemented in just 1 quarter. And this isn't just some vague advice. This is a real output from the AEO audit prompt. It is a specific, actionable plan. In month 1, you start with the technical fixes so AI can easily understand your content. Then, month 2, you restructure your existing content into Q&A formats. And finally, in month 3, you focus on big picture brand building to send all the right signals to the AI. It's a logical, step-by-step process. And this is so crucial. The biggest mistake I see people make is they see this huge shift and they think it's some overwhelming 5-year project. It's not. This roadmap is designed to turn what feels like a paralyzing challenge into a focused, achievable 90-day sprint. All right, let's bring it all home. This is about so much more than just a few new tactics. It is a new mandate for every single marketer out there because just being visible, that is no longer enough. If you remember only one single thing from our time together, please let it be this. This is the new rule of the game. In the AI era, you don't rank. You are either the answer or you're invisible. There is no middle ground anymore. So I want to leave you with a question to really think about for your own business. Is your current marketing strategy just built to be found in a long list of blue links? Or is it built from the ground up to be the definitive, authoritative answer? Because in the world we live in right now, only one of those strategies actually has a future. All right, let's talk about something huge. For the last 20 years, the deal was simple, right? You go to a search engine, you type something in, you get a bunch of links, and you click on one. That's it. That was the contract of the internet. Well, that contract is breaking. Right now, as we speak, the whole age of the click is winding down, and something entirely new is taking its place. So if you're a marketer, if you own a business, heck, if you're anyone who wants to be found online, you really need to pay attention to what's coming next. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this whole thing, we're going to break it down into 5 key pieces. First, we'll look at the end of search clicks. Then, we'll talk about the rise of these new answer engines. After that, we'll get practical. How do you actually become the answer? We'll also cover your new measurement playbook, how you keep score now. And finally, we'll finish with a new mindset every marketer needs to have. Let's get into it. So, first things first, we have to face a kind of harsh new reality here. You know that whole game we've been playing for years, fighting tooth and nail to rank number 1 on Google? Well, the rules have completely changed. Because now, even if you get that top spot, you might find the prize you were promised isn't even there. Just look at this number, 36%. Let that sink in. Today, only about 1/3 of all Google searches actually result in a click-through to a website. That means almost 2/3 of the time, people get what they need right there on the search page, and they're done. Their journey is over. So all that effort, all that money you spent to get that coveted number 1 ranking, it might be getting you literally 0 traffic. So what's going on here? Well, there's a name for it. Zero-click search. And you've probably already seen it in action. It's being driven by all these new AI tools, right? Things like Google's AI overviews that pop up at the top of the page, or even just asking a question to ChatGPT. The whole point is, instead of giving you a list of websites to check out, these tools just give you the answer. They pull information from all over, stitch it together, and present it right there. Your website never even enters the picture. And I really want to stress this point. This isn't just, Google adding a new button or changing the color scheme. This is a fundamental, ground up change in what a search engine even is. Its entire purpose is shifting, and that means our entire approach has to shift right along with it. Here's maybe the best way to think about it. For decades, Google was basically a directory, a giant digital phone book. It would give you those 10 blue links, and its job was to say, hey, here's some good options. You go do the research and figure it out. But AI is a decision maker. It doesn't give you a list of options. It gives you the answer. It says, here is the definitive information you asked for. And that's the key. We're moving away from search engine optimization, or SEO. We are now in the world of answer engine optimization, AEO. Okay, so if the AI is the one serving up the final answer, what does that mean for us? Well, it means our goal has to totally flip. It's not about winning the click anymore. The new game is to be the trusted, authoritative source that the AI relies on to create its answer. You don't want to be a link in a list. You want to be the material in the textbook the AI is reading from. So how do we do that? Well, a key tool for this new strategy is something called the prompt matrix. And the concept is pretty simple, actually. We have to stop obsessing over single keywords, like real estate Portland. Instead, we need to start thinking in terms of full questions and commands, or prompts. We need to think about how real humans actually talk to an AI. This matrix just gives you a framework to test how you show up for all the different kinds of questions your customers might be asking. And you can structure this matrix around 3 main types of questions, 3 search personas, if you will. First, you've got your informational queries. These are the what is or how-to questions when someone's just learning. Then you move to transactional queries. This is when they're ready to do something, like find me the best broker. And finally, you have the really important comparative queries, your brand versus competitor brand. By running these tests, you get a crystal clear picture of where the AI thinks you're an expert, and more importantly, where it doesn't. Now, this isn't just an academic exercise. The insights you pull from that prompt matrix, they become your roadmap. They feed directly into a super practical 90-day action plan that basically retools your entire marketing effort. We're talking about everything from quick technical website fixes to completely rethinking your content strategy. And it's all aimed at a single laser-focused goal, becoming the #1 most citable source in your industry. All right, it makes sense, right? If the rules of the game have completely changed, then our scoreboard has to change too. Those old marketing dashboards we've been staring at for years, they're starting to look pretty useless in this new world. And this chart really drives the point home. Think about the metrics we used to live and die by. Keyword ranking, organic traffic, backlinks, all that stuff. Look, they're not totally meaningless, but they don't tell the whole story anymore, not even close. They're being replaced by metrics that actually measure your influence on what the AI says. We're talking about new KPIs like answer share of voice and the big one, AI citation rate. So let's break down those two really quick because they're super important. First, you have answer share of voice, or ASOV. That basically measures if the AI mentions your brand name in its answer. And hey, that's good. It's great to be in the conversation. But the real gold medal, the thing we're all chasing now, is the AI citation rate. This tracks how often the AI actually cites your website as the source of its information. That's it. That's the new #1 ranking. So, when you put it all together, clicks are disappearing, search engines are becoming answer engines, our metrics are all different. It all points to one big thing, the single most important takeaway from all of this. It's not just a new tactic, it's a fundamental shift in how we need to think as marketers. I love this quote because it nails it. The old SEO game was all about volume, wasn't it? It was a content arms race, just churn out blog post after blog post to try and trick the algorithm. Well, that game is over. The new goal is all about value. It's about creating genuinely authoritative content, assets that are so good, so real, that they have unthinkable elements and AI just can't replicate. So you're probably asking, okay, what's an unthinkable element? It's exactly what it sounds like. Stuff that only you can create. It's your own original research and proprietary data. It's your actual customer stories and in-depth case studies. It's the unique, maybe even controversial opinions from the real named experts on your team. This is the good stuff. This is what the AI is hungry for to establish trust, and it's what will make you stand out from the endless ocean of generic AI-spawned content that's flooding the internet. And so that really brings us to the final question. The one question that every single marketer, every business owner needs to be asking themselves right now. The ground is literally shifting beneath our feet. The world we got comfortable in, the The world of clicks and traffic and rankings, it's fading away. So the question isn't, how do I rank number one anymore? The only question that matters now is, are you ready to become the answer? Because in the age of AI, being the answer is the only game in town. All right, let's get right into it. If you're in marketing, you are feeling this in your bones. The entire landscape has shifted. And you know what? AI is the reason why. It's changed literally everything. But here's the crazy part, the very thing that broke marketing is also the exact tool we're going to use to rebuild it. And this time, make it way, way stronger. And look, let's not sugarcoat it. This is the bad news. AI has just flooded the internet with an ocean of generic content, and it has completely turned search on its head. All the old playbooks? They're basically useless now. But seeing the problem clearly is always the first step toward finding the solution. So, what exactly broke? Well, this slide nails it. We all used to live in the old world, right? We were obsessed with chasing clicks, climbing Google rankings, and just pumping out massive amounts of content. Like a new reality, it's a world of zero-click answers. This is huge. It means AI search engines just spit out the answer directly, so people never even have to click on your website. In this new world, the only game in town is building rock-solid brand authority. And this all boils down to a central conflict, a real battle between two types of content. On one side, you got commodity content, that's the generic, forgettable stuff that anyone can crank out with an AI tool in like 5 minutes. But on the other side, you've got proprietary insight. And this is your secret weapon. It's the unique, the unthinkable stuff that only you have. Your own data, your team's real-world expertise, your actual customer stories. That right there is the new gold. So look, the answer is not to try and fight AI. You can't. The answer is to use it smarter, more strategically than everyone else. And that's exactly what this is all about. We're introducing a toolkit, a system of 10 interconnected prompts. And this isn't just a list of neat tricks. It's a whole system designed to rebuild your marketing strategy for this completely new reality. All right, so how does this system actually work? Well, it all starts with part one, which is all about playing defense. We're going to AI proof your content foundation so it's basically immune to becoming a generic commodity. We kick things off with prompt one, the differentiation analyzer. I want you to think of this as a strategic audit for all your content. So for instance, you'd feed the AI a bunch of your recent blog posts. It would scan them and immediately flag an article like, say, 5 tips for better SEO as a super high-risk piece of content, because anyone can generate that. Then it forces you to think, what unique data, what customer story, what expert opinion can I inject here to build a protective moat around this content that no one else can copy? So what does that actually look like? Well, instead of publishing yet another generic top 5 trends post, this prompt makes you realize, wait a minute, I have unique customer data showing which SEO tactics actually drove sales for a client last quarter. Boom. You can turn that into an exclusive industry report that no AI on earth could ever generate on its own. You're shifting from just repeating information to actually creating new information. Now let's jump to prompt 6 for a sec because it's the perfect follow-up. If prompt 1 finds the gaps, prompt 6 is the treasure map that helps you find the gold hiding inside your own company. It's a system that gives you the exact questions to ask your sales team, your engineers, your customer service reps to surface those amazing stories and insights. It helps you systematically mine all these unique assets that AI simply cannot access. And finally, for this section, let's be real, you're probably still going to use AI to create content faster. That's where prompt 9 comes in. It's your central safety net. It's a prompt that generates a pre-publication checklist, forcing you to fact check, to make sure it sounds like your brand, and most importantly, to add a unique point of view. It's the system that prevents your hard work from becoming what we all dread, generic AI slop. Okay, so you've AI-proofed your content, it's unique, it's valuable, but how do people even find it now? Let's move to part 2, winning in the brand new world of AI search. We call this answer engine optimization, or AEO. And this number right here is exactly why AEO is so incredibly critical. Get this, only about 36% of Google searches actually result in someone clicking a link. The vast majority are answered right there on the page by AI. And if you're not the source of that answer, you are basically invisible. So how on earth do you even measure this? Well, you have to stop just tracking keywords and start testing what we call search personas with a prompt matrix. You literally go to ChatGPT or Perplexity and you ask them these kinds of questions. Do they cite your content when someone asks for information? Do they recommend your brand when someone asks a buying question? This is how you find out if the AI engines actually trust you. And this is what you get from prompt 2, the AEO audit. It doesn't just give you ideas, it spits out a concrete 90-day action plan. The first month is all about quick technical fixes, things like schema markup, which is basically code that helps AI understand your content, and a new thing called an lon.txt file, which lets you control how AIs use your data. From there, it gets into the bigger stuff, like restructuring your content and building your brand. And now for the final piece of the puzzle, plain offense. Once your foundation is solid and you're visible in AI search, you can use AI to automate and scale your marketing with a level of intelligence that was, frankly, science fiction just a few years ago. Let's talk about email. This is not about sending a mass email blast on Tuesday at 9 a.m. No way. Prop 3 helps you build a system where AI analyzes when each individual person is most likely to open an email and sends it at that perfect moment. It can even swap in different content based on what they just looked at on your website. That is how you get these absolutely insane performance lists of 80% or more. Or how about video? We're talking about platforms with over 200 billion daily views. Prompt 4 sets up a clips factory for you. You can feed it an hour-long webinar, and the AI will analyze the transcript and instantly pull out the 5 or 6 most compelling 30-second clips. You know, the surprising stats, the killer quotes. Then it automatically formats them for TikTok, for YouTube Shorts, and gets them ready to feed the algorithms. And for anyone out there running paid ads, Prompt 5 is an absolute game changer. Think about it. Instead of a human trying to come up with 10 different headlines, this prompt helps you build a system that generates and tests hundreds of ad variations, different images, headlines, calls to action to find the winners almost instantly. It compresses learning cycles that used to take months down to just a matter of days. And since we know that anonymous organic traffic is going down, we need people to look for us directly. That's what Prompt 8 is for. It gives you a playbook for building direct brand demand. It helps you develop a strong point of view and create that pillar content. It gets people searching for your brand by name. Of course, none of this really matters if you're measuring the wrong stuff. Hello, Prompt 10. This helps you finally ditch those old, broken, last-touch attribution models and instead build a modern dashboard that tracks what actually drives growth now. Things like brand lift, growth in your branded search, and or share citations in AI answers. So, after all this work, what's the real payoff? Well, it's not just about surviving. It's about building a fundamentally smarter, stronger, and more resilient marketing engine for the future. Let's just bring it all home. When you put this system into practice, you stop making commodity content and you start owning proprietary insight. You stop chasing meaningless clicks and you start building true, undeniable authority. And ultimately, you create a marketing engine that doesn't just survive in the AI era. It's actually built to thrive in it. So yeah, the rules of the game have been completely torn up and rewritten by AI. There's really only one question left to ask yourself. Are you ready to learn the new rules and start playing to win? Hey everyone, so today we're tackling a massive shift that's happening right under our noses. How AI is completely flipping the script on marketing. You know, if you're still totally focused on chasing clicks and traffic, you might be playing a game that's, well, already over. Let's dive in. I want to start with just one number, 36%. Kind of stark, right? What in the world do you think this number represents? Well, that's the slice of Google searches that actually leads to someone clicking through to a website. Think about that for a second. That means nearly 2/3 of all searches, they end right there on the results page. This is the zero-click reality, and we are living in it right now. And that leads us to the single most important question any of us in marketing can ask today. If people aren't clicking on our links, then where are they getting their information? The answer to this changes absolutely everything. You know the drill, right? For years, the playbook has been super simple. Rank high, get that click, and convert the traffic. All as favorite metrics, keyword rankings, click-through rates, impressions, they were all guiding light. But in a world where the search engine just gives you the answer directly, those metrics, they're becoming vanity numbers. They're measuring activity, sure, but not real impact. So yeah, that old model is on its way out. We are moving from a world of search engines to a world of answer engines. We're talking about things like Google's AI overviews, ChatGPT, Perplexity. These tools don't just give you a list of links. Nope, they read everything and then synthesize it to give you one direct answer. This really breaks down the massive strategic shift we're all facing. The old goal was simple: get a click, lure them to your site. But the new goal, it's to be the answer. It's about becoming the trusted, authoritative source that the AI itself relies on to come up with its response. So, if the entire goal of a game has changed, then how we keep score has to change too. It's just common sense. We need a totally new set of blueprints. So, today, we're going to focus on three new, absolutely essential metrics that are going to define success in this new AI era. First on the list is the prompt matrix. Think of this as your new foundation. Seriously, we have got to stop obsessing over single keywords and start thinking about the actual questions, the full prompts your audience is plugging into these AI tools. A prompt matrix is just a way to organize those questions on what the user is really trying to do. And here's when we can break it down into what we'll call search personas. You got your informational queries. That's someone just doing research, asking about market trends. Then there's transactional. This person is ready to do something like find the best broker. And finally, comparative, where they're literally putting you head to head with your competition. Building out a matrix of these questions for your business is step one to even understanding if you're visible to AI. Okay, so once you have your prompt matrix built, you can start to measure our second key metric: answer share of voice, or ASOV for short. This is the direct replacement for tracking keyword rankings. It cuts right to what matters. When someone asks the AI a question from your matrix, what percentage of the time does your business get mentioned in the answer? That's it. And the best part is, this isn't some crazy complex thing to figure out. The formula is incredibly simple. You just take the number of times your brand got a shout out, divide it by the total number of prompts you tested, multiply by 100, and bam, you got a clear, powerful benchmark of exactly how visible you are in the world of AI answers. And that brings us to our final metric, which is really the holy grail here: the AI citation rate. Look, getting mentioned is great, don't get me wrong, but getting cited, that's the whole ballgame. This metric tracks how often the AI doesn't just mention your name, but actually links to your website or your content as the source of truth. This is the ultimate proof of your authority. All right, I know this could all sound a bit abstract, so what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a quick example. Imagine a local real estate agency, and let's see how they can put these new blueprints to work like tomorrow. The process is actually pretty straightforward. First, they build their prompt matrix. They come up with questions that people in their specific town would ask. Step two, they take that list of questions and test them across the big AI engines. And step three, they just track the results, per counting how often they get mentioned to calculate their answer share of voice and how often they get cited as a source. And this is the kind of insight they'd get. Let's say they test a really important transactional prompt like, who is the best real estate broker in Waldport? Suddenly, they have a crystal clear picture of their competitive landscape. They can see, okay, we have a 25% answer share of voice, but wow, competitor A is crushing it at 40%. Now they have a real benchmark, and they know exactly where they stand and who they need to beat. Look, these new metrics aren't just for making pretty reports for your boss. They are honest to goodness strategic tools. Mastering them is how you build a real, long-term, defensible brand that doesn't just scrape by in the AI era, it actually dominates. So the big question is, how do you actually improve these new numbers? Well, this quote really says it all. The game is no longer about pumping out tons of generic volume-based content. It's about focusing on value. It's about creating content with unfakeable elements, your own proprietary data, your unique expert insights, real stories from your customers, things an AI can't just scrape from a competitor and copy. When you boil it all down, winning in this new world really comes down to these four things. You have to build a brand so strong that people search for you by name. You have to aim to become the most cited authority, the go-to source in your space. Use your own unique data as a competitive advantage. And most importantly, focus on building a real, trusted brand, because that is the one thing an algorithm can never truly replicate or replace. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought to join. Take a hard look at your strategy, at your measurement, at everything you do, and ask yourself, is my marketing built for the old world of clicks, or is it ready for the new world of answers? Because the choice you make there is going to define your success for years to come. Thanks for tuning in. All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down how pretty much any local business can build three really powerful automated AI marketing systems. And this isn't theory, okay? This is a practical step by step playbook designed to get you real growth right now. So, does this sound familiar? You're spending hours on tasks that just don't seem to move the needle. You're sending out these one size fits all messages that you know are probably getting ignored, and you're waiting weeks, maybe even months to see if anything is actually working. It's a super common struggle, but it's a problem that honestly technology is getting really good at solving for us. What we're really seeing is this massive shift in how marketing gets done. The old way, over on the left there, it was just a constant manual grind. The new AI driven approach on the right, that's all about building smart, automated systems that deliver truly personalized outreach and get you results in days, not months. Now, to make this super practical and not just a bunch of ideas, we're going to follow a local business. We'll call them Coastal Plumbing. Let's say they're fantastic plumbers, but their marketing is kind of stuck in the past. We're going to see exactly how they use these three AI blueprints to completely transform their growth. Okay, first up is system number one, the AI powered email engine. This is all about taking your email list from being just a simple broadcast tool to a smart, personalized communication channel that actually works for you 24/7. And the potential here is just huge. We're not talking about small 5 or 10% gains. The whole goal is to fundamentally change how your email performs, aiming for massive performance lifts. We're talking 80% or even more. It's a total game changer. So, how does Coastal Plumbing actually pull this off? Well, it starts with three surprisingly simple steps. First, they use AI to optimize send times. This means every single person gets the email at the exact moment they're most likely to open it. Second, they hyper-personalize the subject lines, going way beyond just using a first name to something that's truly relevant to that person. And third, the AI dynamically changes the email's length based on how that specific person tends to engage with their content. Pretty cool, right? And the results, they really do speak for themselves. Before, Coastal Plumbing was sinking hours into these generic campaigns with pretty crummy open rates. After flipping the switch on the AI engine, their open and click rates skyrocketed, and the time they spent managing the whole thing, it just dropped dramatically. This is automation paying real dividends. Okay, let's move on to system number two, the short form video factory. In today's world of Reels, Shorts, and TikTok, you just can't afford to create video randomly. You absolutely need a system. And this is the core idea right here. You stop thinking like an artist, waiting for inspiration to strike, and you start thinking like you're building a factory, a system that's designed to consistently pump out short, punchy videos that are made specifically to feed AI algorithms on these platforms. So here's what that assembly line looks like. Coastal Plumbing starts with content they already have, maybe a long video explaining a common plumbing problem. Then they use AI equipping tools to automatically find the most interesting moments, trim them up, and add captions. Next, they optimize every single clip with a strong hook in the first 2 seconds and a clear call to action at the end. And finally, they just schedule it all to go out across all their platforms. It's repeatable and it's super efficient. The transformation here is just night and day. Before, they were maybe spending a whole day just to produce one single video. With the AI factory, that time gets crushed, and they can suddenly push out 10 times more content. The process goes from being a painful manual bottleneck to a smooth automated flow. All right, on to our third and final system, the AI advertising system. Here, we're taking those same principles of automation and intelligence and applying them direct with your paid ads on platforms like Google and Meta. The biggest win here is just pure speed. Traditionally, testing ad creative to see what works is this long, slow, expensive process. With AI, you can literally compress that entire testing cycle from months down to just a few days. You find the winning ads faster than ever. So, Coastal Plumbing's game plan here has three parts. First, they build what's called modular creative, so separate headlines, images, and calls to action that can be mixed and matched. Second, they let the AI assemble and test hundreds of different variations automatically. And third, and this is so key, they let the platform's AI manage the budget, automatically shifting money every single day to the ads that are performing the best. And again, you look at the results and they're just stark. Their creative refresh cycle goes from maybe once a month to every single day. Their testing speed is a tiny fraction of what it used to be. And most importantly, their return on ad spend, or ROAS, sees a huge jump because they are constantly automatically optimizing for what's actually working. So when you step back and look at all three of these pieces working together, what have you really built? You've moved way beyond just running a few marketing tactics. You've actually built an engine. It really boils down to this simple formula. Your smart email engine is nurturing your leads. Your video factory is building brand awareness and engagement. And your AI ad system is driving high retargeted traffic. Each part actually feeds the others, creating this powerful automated growth machine for your business. So for our friends at Coastal Plumbing, the outcome is crystal clear. They're saving over 20 hours of manual work every single week. The quality of the leads they're getting has shot up by 40%. And best of all, the entire process is simple, it's automated, and it is totally repeatable. And that brings us to the final and maybe most important question. You've seen the blueprints for 3 incredibly powerful systems, and you don't have to go them all at once. The real question for you and your business is, which system will you build first? All right, let's just get right into it. We're not talking theory today. This is a hands-on 90-day execution blueprint designed to rebuild your marketing from the ground up for this new age of AI. Let's get started. I mean, this quote really just nails it, right? The whole landscape has been turned upside down. But the very thing that broke it all, AI, is actually the key to building something way, way stronger. It's time to stop just reacting and, start actually rebuilding. And this slide right here shows you just how deep the change goes. For years, we all lived and died by these old SEO metrics, rankings, traffic, clicks. But in a world where AI just gives you the answer directly, that's a losing game. We have to start tracking totally new things for what we call answer engine optimization, or AEO. So it's not about clicks anymore. It's about how often AI cites your brand as the source. That's a huge strategic shift. Okay, so here's our roadmap. It's pretty straightforward. First, we'll nail down the problem. Then we're going to walk through the 90-day plan month by month. And we'll finish up with some really crucial advice on how to actually see the thing through to the end. So first things first, let's get crystal clear on the challenge we're all facing. We are now living in a zero-click reality. Your customers, they're getting answers directly from AI, which means they might never even need to visit your website. And wow, this number really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? Only 36% of Google searches actually end in a click to a website. Think about that. That means almost 2/3 of the time, the journey is over before it even begins. If your whole strategy is built on getting that click, well, your foundation is basically crumbling. Okay, so that's the bad news. But look, there is a path forward. This 90-day rebuild is your guide to get from the chaos of a broken system to the clarity of a modern marketing engine that's actually built for this new world. So we're going to break this down into 3 simple 30-day sprints. We start with the foundation and positioning, then we move on to building content and visibility, and finally, we optimize and scale what's actually working. Each phase builds right on top of the last one. All right, let's dive into month 1, the foundation. And I'm serious about this. You cannot skip this part. This is where we stop guessing and start building our new strategy on solid ground, not on sand. So for the first 30 days, it's all about knowing where to put your energy and, just as importantly, where not to. You're going to focus entirely on auditing your AEO, analyzing your content to see where it's weak, and totally redesigning how you measure success. What you don't ignore? Creating new content for now, and definitely stop chasing those old vanity traffic metrics. The goal here isn't a quick traffic spike. It's a rock-solid, actionable plan. So to break it down, you've got 3 jobs this month. 3 things, that's it. Non-negotiable. First, you run a full AEO audit to get your technical house in order. Second, you gotta be ruthless and analyze your existing content, find everything that's generic and could be easily spit out by an AI. And third, you design that new dashboard based on the metrics we just talked about, like answer share of voice. Okay, foundation is poor. Now we get to the fun part, month 2. The challenge is simple but huge. Create content that's so valuable, so unique that an AI just can't fake it. So now the game completely changes. We're shifting from planning to doing. We're creating what we call unfakeable content, and we're doing it by using our own company's unique data. We're totally ignoring the old game of just pumping out tons of generic stuff. By the end of this month, you should expect to see your very first pieces of this new content go live and start seeing those early signals that your authority is growing. So that brings us to the $1,000,000 question, right? If AI can basically write anything, how in the world do you stand out? Well, the answer is in using ingredients that only you have. Think of this list as your secret weapon. This is the stuff AI just can't get its hands on. It doesn't have your internal customer data, your team's unique expert opinions, or the real stories from your clients. So instead of a generic blog post on 5 industry trends, you publish a report based on your own customer data showing how your clients are actually making those trends happen. See the difference? That's unfakeable. Okay, great. So you're making all this awesome, unique content. But how do you even know if it's working? Remember, clicks are no longer the goal, so we need a totally new way to measure our influence inside the AI models themselves. And this is where we introduce one of your most important new metrics. It's called Answer Share of Voice, or ASOV for short. And honestly, it's pretty simple. If you test, say, 100 questions relevant to your industry, and your brand gets mentioned in 20 of the AI's answers, then boom, your ASOV is 20%. This is how you actually know if your content is making you the authority. All right, we've got the foundation. We're creating amazing content. Now it's time for the final sprint, month 3. This is where we take everything we've learned and just pour gasoline on the fire, turning those early insights into real, unstoppable momentum. So in this last month, it's all about speed, agility. We're using AI for super rapid creative testing, ditching the slow manual stuff. We're using predictive models for our budgets instead of setting them once a month. The outcome we're shooting for is clear: learning faster, getting better results, and ending up with a marketing system that's truly scalable and repeatable. And this right here, this is the whole point. This is how you create a massive, unfair advantage. And then just imagine, what if you could compress your testing cycles from taking months down to just a few days? With AI, that's not some fantasy. It's the new standard for teams that are winning. So you've got the playbook, the whole 90-day plan. But we all know a plan is just a piece of paper if you don't actually do it. So how do we make sure you stick with it and avoid those common pitfalls? Okay, let's be real. These are the traps almost everyone falls into, and the biggest one by far is just impatience. Skipping that critical audit work in month 1 because you want to jump straight to making content. Another huge one is using old metrics to judge this new strategy. It's like using a thermometer to measure distance. You got to stick to the plan and trust the new process. And here's the honest truth, the number one reason people give up on this stuff, it's that they don't get that early rush of momentum. A big 180-day plan can feel like a mountain. And if you don't see some kind of progress pretty quickly, it's just so easy to lose motivation and go back to what's comfortable, even if you know it's broken. And that really is the key to making it through all 90 days. We need to go with confidence. We need an early taste of success. So that begs the question, how do you manufacture a quick win to keep yourself in the game? And here it is. Here's your quick win email. The framework actually has specific blueprints designed for these kinds. If you're finding these tutorials valuable and you're serious about integrating AI and automation into your business to save time and build scalable systems, I invite you to join our free school community. This isn't a place for hype or unrealistic promises. Instead, it's a focused environment where we continue the conversation, share practical workflows, and troubleshoot real-world AI implementation challenges together. Inside, you'll find extended discussions on the AI tools and automation strategies we cover here on the channel, exclusive mini tutorials and workflow breakdowns that go even deeper, a supportive network of fellow entrepreneurs, freelancers, and creators who are actively building with AI. Opportunities to ask questions directly and get feedback on your own automation projects. It's a space dedicated to continuous learning and practical application, helping you move from understanding concepts to implementing effective AI solutions in your day-to-day operations. To join, simply click the link in the description below. I'm looking forward to connecting with you there and helping you further streamline your work and build real leverage with AI.